So right guys, if you don't know by now, over the weekend there was a very big news over the new launch condos in Singapore. So the Orie in Toa Payoh, is a condo in Toa Payoh, is new launch. It's 777 units, was just launched over this weekend, and guess what? 86% of the units were sold. So you'll be curious to know just how much is the average price per square foot that the unit actually go for, and whether these people made a mistake or they actually made a good choice and a good decision and able to start progressing their property journey by getting into this condo. So I'm here to break down the numbers for you so that you don't have to. This is Pete from Singapore Property Pro, helping you take that next step. So let's take a look at the newspaper report itself. So the newspaper report already say that indeed we have 86% of the units that were sold. If you translate that, it's actually 668 units. That means the balance unit is probably left about 100. By the time that this recording is on, maybe it's actually less than 100. So, and the average unit price as reported was about $2,700 per square foot. So many of you will be asking this question: is $2,700 per square foot for a city fringe project a good buy, or somebody else actually made a mistake buying it? Now, in order to do that, we always look at what is price. Okay, to be honest, price, a lot of people just look at price as how cheap the price is. But here's the trick. Price actually consists of three components in all properties. Number one, land price. Number two, the market price. And number three, your neighbor's price, which I think is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, which I think a lot of consumers out there, and maybe even some of your agent friends who do not really do it as a day in day out basis, may not be able to comprehend that piece of the puzzle. Now, looking back at the newspaper report, you can see there's a huge amount of people there. So congratulations to all my buyers who successfully booked a unit there. I mean, just a teaser here that they managed to secure something which potentially will really help them to move on to their property journey. And this I will share a little bit more later in the video, so continue to watch on. Alright, so we know that the price is $2,700 and $704 per square foot. And the interesting thing is the breakdown of the buyers. Now, last year, right around this time, the government gave us a piece of good news, very good news, which is ABSD, cooling measures. So this is one of the, I think, considerations and the factors that perhaps a lot of buyers may or may not have on the mind when they are starting to enter into the market. Already we've seen the last couple of launches was the indication that the prices are actually gearing towards a reasonable price. But just let me break down the numbers for you in this video. Now, the number of buyers, about 93%, it's a huge whopping 93%, are Singaporeans. So what does that mean? So number one is, a lot of you might think that it could be very expensive right now, but the truth of the matter is, if it's so expensive right now, then why all these people are still buying? I mean, these are $2 million, $3 million, $4 million that they are spending, which impacts their family, which this decision also impacts the way that they move on and building their wealth into the future. Now, 93% of the buyers, of the 600 odd buyers, so 600 of our fellow citizens think that this is not a stupid thing to get into, for lack of a better word. So put that into perspective the next time when you try to think about it in another way, that it's too expensive, it's too cheap. And now, I'm not here to say that you must buy something, right? If you are not ready to buy, I totally understand that. Okay, now here's the painful part. Now, if you are ready to buy something and you did not make that decision and miss the opportunity to buy something which could potentially help you grow your property wealth, now wouldn't that be something that is a shame, something that is really very wasteful? Now think about that. So back to the buyers, 93% buyers are Singaporeans, and even the rest of the buyers, you can see the remainder comprise of permanent residents, PR. So now there is a little, how should I put it, like a trick here, right? It's an open secret actually. It's not a trick. That how do you get from a lot of tax that the foreigner has to pay? By the way, foreigners have to pay 60% of additional buyer stamp duty on top of the purchase price. Now that is tax that is going to the government. Now if you want to reduce from a 60% to 5% ABSD, that is what all this, the rest of the people are buying. There are foreigners that actually got a permanent residency in Singapore and the tax they are subjected to is 5%. So which one would you prefer? 60% that you pay tax on top of the price to the government, or 5% tax? So naturally, that's why they are actually gearing more and more towards the 5% tax. So we have Chinese nationalities, Malaysians, Indonesians, okay, the United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, Hong Kong, India, South Korea, as well as this, America. Now, this might be a fact that some of you do not know. Did you know that there are some countries that do not need to be subjected to additional buyer stamp duty when you purchase a property? That means from 60%, straight away you jump to 0%, enjoying the same benefits as a Singaporean property buyer. So how do they do it? Now, if you are still curious about it, right, my contact number, okay, will be at the end of the screen, or you can see in the description, right? Simply contact me to find out more whether you belong to this category and how you can potentially benefit from this zero tax incentive that is accorded to this particular 5 nationalities. Alright, and I've given you a hint already. America is one of them. So prices of the units. So like I mentioned earlier, prices are categorized into, in my world, is really 3 things that you should look at the price. Number 1 would be, what is the land price that the land was purchased? Now the land was purchased, okay, at $1,360 per square foot per plot ratio, right? That's just a fancy way to put it, like how much you pay for the price, and that is the unit of measure that we do apple to apple comparison with surrounding land prices, right? So it's very easy for you to understand in that sense. So the question would be, how much has the land increased from the last development? Now in Toa Payoh, it's very easy for us to actually take a look at it because there ain't many condominium lands that is available around. We just look at the nearest, the latest piece of land that was last sold about 8 to 9 years ago, and the piece of land was for Gem Residences. It's just a neighbor, just a next door neighbor from the Orie. So Gem Residences got the land at, wow, okay, let me just blow it up a bit, $755. Can you imagine? $755. So how much did the land actually increase? So I'll just use 1360 divided by 755, about 1.8 times, right? It's just about 1.8 times. So can you imagine, in a short span of about 8 to 9 years, not even 10 years, the land has almost doubled. All right, let me just repeat that again. In a short span of about 10 years, the land price have already doubled. So what goes into the pricing of a property, like you will see here, will be a very big chunk of it will be land. And factor in the rest of the construction costs, financing costs, professional legal taxes, marketing costs. So all in all, you will get a break-even per square foot. Now this break-even per square foot means the developer makes $0. So at $2,300, $305 per square foot, the developer makes $0. Right? So think about it. Would the developer sell it to you at 0 profit, or sell it to you at a loss, or would a developer wants to make some money? Right? I think you got the answer, right? The developer naturally wants to make some money. And if I just go back again to look at the way that you should be looking at prices, is more not complex, but there is more to it than just by comparing A, B, and say that it is cheap or it's expensive. I'm sure by now you've heard many influencers or many videos, even on YouTube, that you will see them saying that look at the number of competitors, developers that is competing for the piece of land. If the price gap is more than 10%, the developer has overpaid, and likely that you are getting the short end of the stick. because the developer is going to pass on the cost to the consumer. So did that happen? Right? Did more than 80% of the people who buy this become, somebody who took on the cost and have a problem really monetizing the unit in the future? Now, if you look at the thing, right, it's actually an 18% gap. So naturally, if you just believe what they say, just by just one point on the videos you watch on social media, chances are you might be in for a rude shock, right? Or chances are you might miss something that is actually a pretty good deal to begin with. So let me explain a little bit more. So besides land prices, we need to understand what is market prices. Right? Market prices in Singapore, okay, property in Singapore is a very, very easy and simple thing to understand. Right? The URA has very kindly separated our market segment into 3 different segments, 3 different regions to put it into perspective. Traditional CBD, the 8, 9, 10, the central CBD area, that is where people will call it the core central region, which is represented by the blue line here. And then there is the city fringe area just outside of the core, which URA has defined. And this chart represents the rest of central region, RCR. Now, how about the rest? The rest is like your Ang Mo Kio, your Punggol, your Tampines, your Jurong East. All this will be what we call an OCR region, outside central region. So in terms of the market price, it is very important that we actually look at what is the market transacting right now. And if you look at the 3 charts, the numbers are a bit jumbled here, but definitely when you look at the breakdown, the average PSF for the RCR has already gone to about 2.6. This is real, this is done deal. It's already gone to about 2.6. In fact, if you look at the max has gone way beyond, way past 3,007. Now, what does that mean? Yeah, can you correlate that now? That right now, when we say that the Orie sold at an average of about 2,007 versus these 2 price comparison that I've just showed you, one would be the land price, which is at break even 2003, and then you add some profits into it and compare it to the market price, which is about 2006 touching 2007. Now, with that in mind, I think you can figure out whether this is a well-priced project or not. Now, in fact, the report says that many buyers, right, not many agents, not many developers, many buyers, they themselves believe that the Orie is well priced, especially when the project is in a very, very low supply, high demand area in a matured estate of Toa Payoh. So this is a very important factor also when you consider whether that project has the potential to give you a little bit more profitability in the future or not. Now, next, we need to look at market price. Remember, prices have 3 components to it, right? So we have the land price, the market price, okay, the last component is the neighbor price. So if you look at the market, the surrounding, similar RCR projects that was also very popular, like Emerald of Katong, we just concluded its sale. In fact, it almost sold on the launch day, right? 99% almost sold on launch day. And if you look at it, it has already crossed a per square foot of 2009. Okay? Averagely, if you look at the heat map, it is around 2006 all the way to 2009 per square foot. So this is exactly what the market has already transacted, by the way. So this is exactly what the market is accepting, and it's 99% so of this development, right? And of course, I feel that this is something that a lot of people never touch on, which is your neighbor's price. So for the Orie, we only have 2 neighbors. If you want to consider somebody that is really, really old, right, which I won't consider, which is a 1998 Oleander Towers. So their neighbors are always Gem and Trevista. So number one, when you look at it, right, what is those neighboring condo that is resale is already transacting? So if you look at those resale transacting, just the neighbor itself, Gem Residence, right, has already been doing things above $2,000 per square foot. Similarly for Trevista. All right. So when we talk about this kind of price level, it means that there is enough demand to sustain this kind of price level. Now the question you'll be asking is, so does $2,700 on average still make sense for me if I buy the Orie? So here's the secret. Okay, if you look at Gem Residence actually got their keys right around the 2019 mark, making this around a 5-year-old property. Correct? So when it's around a 5-year-old, 6-year-old property right now, and by the time Orie gets its keys, okay, in 2023, 2030, okay, you'll be looking at an additional 5 years from now. So if it's a 6-year plus 5-year, you are looking at an 11 years property back then. Now, so this is how we actually analyze this. These are transacted prices. Somebody did pay for this. Somebody did pay $2,082 per square feet for a unit in Gem Residence. Now, can you imagine 11 years down the road, that person who paid $2,082 wants to sell. So how much should he be selling for? Now, this is where we project our prices, right? So every year, if you talk about every year, typically a 10 to 15 years old condominium, we use a factor of about $50 per square foot. Okay, so for 11 years, it will be $550 per square foot that we add on to the price to make this buyer who bought the $2,082 per square foot unit worth his while. He wants to make money, and in our research, that kind of projection seems to be a more conservative, a moderate one. He could be asking for more, but let's not do that. Let's just do something that is more conservative. $550 that you add on to it. So now what's the price now? All right, the price will be $2,600 per square foot for a 11-year-old property. By the time that you collect a key for the Orie, which is brand new, 0 year that is being stayed in. So $2,700 for a brand new Orie versus $2,600 typical, and even close to $2,700 for Gem Residences, which is 11 years old. If you are a future buyer looking to buy a property in Toa Payoh in the future, which one would you choose? Now that question, when you answer it correctly, is where the magic lies, whether you are able to define that price to be the correct entry price. So remember, when you look at any property in future, just use these three very simple rules. Look at the land price, the market price, your neighbor's price, to determine whether you are actually getting a unit at the correct entry price. So this, just remember, and of course, if you have any other units that you are still not sure and perhaps you want me to have a look and analyze and to determine whether that unit is the correct entry price, even for resale units, simply contact me. My link is down in the description below. Now, continue on. When we look at Toa Payoh, the report also put up there is a pent-up demand. So why is it a pent-up demand? If you look at the Toa Payoh condo supply, we have Gem is here, we have the Orie is here, Trevista is here, Orlando Tower, which is a 1998 condo, is here, and this is the Toa Payoh circle lah. How many? You can count with one hand how many condos are there. So will there be a supply shortage? In fact, if you look at all the township, Toa Payoh has one of the least supply of condominium versus the number of HDB household dwellings in the township itself. Now, so this is currently, there is already a pent-up demand, but think about in the future. Will the demand continue to rise? I think will. Okay, why? Because when you look at it, the population, okay, is expected to grow, okay, at a very high rate. Toa Payoh actually grew from 2014 to 2024, grew from this number to this number. Okay, in terms of percentage, we are talking about a 9.9% growth in 10 years compared with the island-wide population growth, which is about 8%. So that's why with lesser condominiums for a buyer to choose from, with the population of Toa Payoh itself and the macro level growing at a higher rate than the Singapore nation island-wide. So what do you think is going to happen to the demand for the future? It's going to increase. So, of course, these are the things that maybe some over the social media will tell you is very important. But to me, these are something that adds additional layers of value to the property. Schools and MRT. Okay? It's not going to affect your selling prices by too much, but it will definitely increase the buyer pool in the future if you're looking to exit that property. So the Orie is very close to the Braddell MRT station, which is just about 350 meters away. If you walk fast, 5 minutes or less, which is very, very tempting. In fact, the threshold that most resale buyers in the clients that we have, they will start to complain if given the distance is about 800 meters or more. So that's on the ground what we feel as a threshold. And this being 350 meters, I think, okay, is something that is very attractive to the future pool of buyers. Now, we talk about the current demand. How about the future demand? Roughly, we have already established that we actually have a higher population growth in Toa Payoh compared to the rest of the island. But I think more importantly, okay, last year was a bumper year for, you guessed it, $1 million flats. How many in exact? Actually, we have more than 1,000 $1 million flats that was transacted in the resale market. Okay, I have another video right here, and probably you will see a link right here in the corner that shows you just how the $1 million flats are going to affect the outcome. Okay, so in short, a very simple explanation will be the $1 million flats buyers basically is like they struck lottery because their cash proceeds is quite high. Given that cash proceeds is quite high, you translate it into the down payment, okay, so which is about 30% right now. Given that the down payment of 25% plus 5% of the buyer's stamp duty, you can just foresee that how much they can afford. Right? So usually it's about 30%. So for $1 million down payment in cash proceeds, you can straight away go to $3 million if your salary allows you to carry the loan for that 75%. Alright, so let's go back to Toa Payoh. Toa Payoh actually last year has about 144 units out of the 1,035 units that were transacted. So can you imagine 144 units, $1 million? So this becomes your future buyer pool, because when they buy the unit, they need 5 years. So from 2025 to 2030, when the Orie buyers begin to collect keys, so who are they going to sell to if they want to sell? There will be at least 144 only for this year, but there are also previous year that also has $1 million flat owners that are cash ready and looking to buy something that is new, possibly the Orie. Right? So this is what we define as a future demand projection. Okay? And when you look at the overall of things, this is something that you need to project to see how you can potentially exit from this unit. Now, I know many of you will say that I want to buy a forever home. Right? So as probably every person in this lifetime maybe buy about 3 homes, 4 homes, 5 homes, 5 transactions. Okay? We see day in, day out, there are many transactions, hundreds of transactions that we do every year. And we see that out of the hundreds of transactions, there's always more than 90% of our clients that will eventually sell their property. Okay? Either to upgrade as a means of growing their property wealth, or to right size as a means of funding their retirement. So this will always happen. So when the next time when you think about I will always buy a forever home, no right, no wrong, you're not wrong. It could be something that you want, but bear in mind that usually when you say that, we did not have the amount of data or ground experience to know that actually buyers do tend to sell their homes for a lot of other reasons down the road. Right? So that's why when the Orie is ready to collect key. There is a pool of potential buyers in Toa Payoh itself with million-dollar flats that has going to be transacted potentially with the cash proceeds, that has enough cash proceeds for them to enter into the Orie, which by the way is in the 3.5 million mark, a very comfortable mark for even for future buyers, right? So the question is, what's next? If you're watching this, chances are you've already missed Orie, or your queue number is way back. Fun fact, the Orie has more than 2,000 checks that's collected. So the number of interest versus the number of units available is easily more than double. That means every single intent that you want to buy, you'll be fighting with at least 1 to 2 other buyers. Right? So what's next? Okay, in February, it's going to have another 4, I won't say mega launches, but 4 very interesting launches that you are definitely out in the market. We have Parktown. Parktown Residence is in Tampines. It's in the new Tampines North Precinct. It's an integrated development. MRT next to you, bus interchange next to you, with all the commercial amenities, convenience just down at your doorsteps. Now that is going to be very, very interesting, and it's going to be a mega project, more than 1,000 units at Parktown. Now we have Alta. Alta is in Clementi, which is the last plot of land along that Clementi belt. So if you have missed the other 2 plots of land and still looking around the Clementi, even the Jurong East area to Clementi area, and you miss that, okay, Alta is something I think is potentially going to be very interesting, right? Looking at the prices again, the 3 different factors of the prices, okay, just a quick hint to you, Alta might be something that may potentially be launching at the correct entry price. Just a quick hint to you. Now we have Orie at Tampines. Just next to Parktown is an EC. Now, so an EC like an Orie, okay, gives a lot of benefits, especially if you are a HDB owner. So if you are a HDB owner and you do not know, okay, you don't need to sell and move out from a HDB flat. You can choose typically what we call a deferred payment scheme for EC. That means only when the EC has a key ready, hand to you, then you need to sell your HDB, in short. Okay, so what's the catch? Of course, when there is a deferred payment scheme, the prices will be adjusted a little bit more. Okay, how much more? Usually it depends on the developer to developer, and I won't put a number to it right now in this video. Now there's also one more, which at the moment may or may not happen, but I'll just put it down here, something that is for you to consider. It may launch in February as well, which is Lentor Central Residences. Okay, why I put it here is also very interesting, because Lentor Central Residence, that plot of land is also, when they got the plot of land, it's also very interesting because of the land price. So with all the supply that is in Lentor already, okay, so it'll be interesting to see whether there is still a very, very good chance for you to get something that is a correct entry price for Lentor Central Residence. Now, my name is Pete again. I always help my clients take the next step in order for them to either grow their wealth, consolidate their wealth, building legacy for their children, and basically gunning for the correct retirement plan for them. Now, if you think that this is something that you wish to explore more but still confused after what I've shared with you, right? Or if you want to know more about all the correct entry price units, be it a new launch, potential new launch, and be it a resale unit that is already in the market, right? Hook me up, just ring me up. My name and my contact is right here on screen now. So once again, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next video.